At the start of our story, we see an old man coughing and saying, "I am an earthling from a civilized society. I came from a civilized society." Just then, a little girl enters his house with some food in her hand. Seeing the old man like that, she says, "Mr. Seo, are you okay? My mother sent this for you." We learn that this old man's name is Seo. He thanks the little girl. Then while placing the food on the ground, little girl replies, "Not a problem. Please get well soon and make some more soap." Saying that, she leaves the house and walks back toward her home in a snowstorm. This old Seo is an earthling, an inhabitant of a civilized world. It's been 50 years since he fell into this cursed world. They were on their way to a workshop with Director Kim and other company employees when they were suddenly swept away in a landslide. When they came to their senses, they found themselves in a strange world. A fox as big as a house with 3 tails, a large red-scaled snake with 2 heads, and beings wielding swords flying through the sky. It was a world like the martial arts novels he occasionally read. Although it was a strange world, most of his colleagues probably did quite well, except for him. Among the 7 people who fell into the martial world that day, within just 3 days of their arrival, destinies began to unfold. The sage-like beings who descended from above were in awe of his co-workers' mythical talents, and took each one of them into the sky. Only he and Director Kim remained in this world. To be honest, they had hopes that something special would happen to them too. But neither Director Kim nor he had any special abilities. Without knowing much about this world, all they could do was manual labor. For 6 months, the two worked menial jobs in a busy marketplace, earning their meals. Until one day, Director Kim could take it no longer. He told Seo that he couldn't live like this anymore and used all his money to buy a third-rate martial arts book sold on the streets. Everyone laughed at him, but within 3 months, he mastered it and became a full-fledged martial artist. He worked for the nation and learned more and more advanced martial arts. After he became a powerful warrior, Director Kim left for the Jianghu, leaving Seo behind. Seo just hoped that something special could happen to him as well, but until the end, nothing happened to him at all. After 50 years, he is now just an old man dying from a common cold. He coughs blood, repeating that he is from Earth. He has tried his hardest to live. He learned the language, learned to read and write, worked as a laborer to make a living, bought a small plot of land, and built his own house. He started making some decent money when he began making soap using lye. In this medieval time, soap was essentially a new concept. However, even that ended after some thieves stole the method of making his soap and started producing their own. These thugs booted Seo out of the market. Now he is waiting for his death. Having been rejected by this world, a frustrated Seo asks the world, "What do you want from me? Even though I tried my hardest, what must I do?" He starts crying, asking why he couldn't have been selected even if he was not special, and why he has to continue losing everything. Now Seo no longer has the energy to keep his eyes open. As his eyes start to close, he hopes that if he just had a bit more power, maybe, just maybe, he might have had more opportunities. Lying on his bed, sick with a cold, Seo's life ends. That was how he died, and how, with a bright light, he opened his eyes again. He slowly looks down at his body. It's not a hand full of wrinkles and lines. It is a young hand, full of vitality and life. He was wearing something clearly different from the clothes of this world, the blue shirt and sweatpants he had worn on Earth. He looked around, trying to grasp the situation. Then he saw Director Kim, Chief O, Section Chief John, Deputy Manager Kang, Deputy Manager O, and Manager Kim. Seo was shocked to see them. Now he finally realized he hadn't come to this world powerless. He had gained the power of regression. This was Seo's first regression. Director Kim, with half his hair shaved off, looked around and asked, "What's happening?" "We were just on our way to a workshop." He didn't know where they were, but Seo knew. This was the first day. They had just landed in this strange world. Seo remembered how they ended up here. They were in an SUV, going to the workshop, when they got caught in a landslide, and then something flashed. It was a 50-year-old memory, so it was a bit hazy, and even Seo couldn't remember clearly. While he was thinking this, suddenly someone called from behind, "Hey, Deputy Manager Seo." But Seo was still lost in his thoughts, wondering, now that I have regressed, how should I live? Usually, in regression novels, people live well using their future knowledge. But all I know is making soap. Suddenly, the guy from behind grabbed Seo's shoulder and shouted, "Manager Seo Yun-hyun!" Seo snapped out of his daydream at the shout. He looked back and saw it was Section Chief John. Seo said, trying to explain that he was a bit startled. But suddenly, with a swish, Section Chief Jian slapped Seo across the face. Everyone present was shocked to see that. Section Chief Jian shouted, "Deputy Manager Seo, you bastard, you dozed off while driving on the mountainside. You almost got us all killed. SEO stood there dazed from the slap. He had forgotten this deputy manager title. It was a title he hadn't heard in so long that he didn't realize Section Chief Jian was referring to him. Section Chief Jian looked at Seo angrily and asked, Manager Seo, do you want to lose your job the moment we get back? Hearing that, Seo remembered the face he hadn't seen in a long time. Section Chief Jian Myong-hoon. He was the nephew of Jian Myong-cheol, the executive director of the company Seo worked for. At 32, he had already snagged the section chief position through nepotism. When Jian Myong-hoon was about to charge at Seo in anger, Chief O stood up and stopped him. He told Jian it was enough because that landslide wasn't something Deputy Manager Seo could have done anything about. But Jian shouted again, asking, Aren't you angry, Chief O? This insane jerk was dozing off. That's why we're in this situation. Hearing that, Seo remembered that he definitely had dozed off while driving. But the reason he was dozing off was because John had dumped all his work on Seo the day before the workshop. The work John had been putting off, forcing Seo to stay up all night. Thinking about it again, Seo also remembered that originally, the one in charge of driving was Jian. Originally, he was supposed to drive. Pointing at Seo, Jian shouted, This stupid bastard! We're stranded because of him. But Seo was slowly starting to recall his memories from 50 years ago. Back then, Seo was so shocked he didn't understand what was happening. So, unwittingly, he apologized to Jian. He even thought it was his own fault. Then he went on to spend the next 50 years just like that, apologizing to people, even when a group of bandits trampled over him and took his belongings, when a damned martial artist mocked him, or when a regional official took everything he had in the name of taxes. He kept apologizing. But there was one thing Seo realized after years of holding it in. Sure, he had to keep his temper in front of those he couldn't handle, but not in front of everyone. Seo stood up, and with a straight face said, Section Chief John, I know you're mad, but now's not the time to be pointing fingers. Hearing that, John got furious and lunged at him. He punched Seo again, shouting, Are you asking for a fight? This punch made Seo realize that he didn't need to kneel before someone he could handle. He turned around and punched John in the face, sending him flying. Seeing that, everyone present was too shocked. They could not believe their eyes. Seo continued punching John. In his past life, Seo had been beaten up by martial artists countless times. He was beaten up by bandits while gathering herbs in the mountains, by more bandits during years of bad harvest, and even by officials because he couldn't pay his taxes. Now, Seo sat on Jian, not giving him even a chance to fight back. Seeing this, everyone froze in their place, not knowing what to do. In that world of violence, Seo was able to gain something that these people lacked. He gained violence. If one hits someone in the eyes, their fear is amplified, and after being beaten up like this, only 2 words instinctively leave opponents' mouths. I'm sorry. Those were the exact words Jian said when Seo hit him in the eyes. Seo may not have the mythical talents mentioned by those transcendent individuals, or the amazing martial arts that would make him famous in the martial arts world, but now he did have the ability to change fate. Director Kim, Chief O, Deputy Manager Kang, Deputy Manager O, and Manager Kim, all were looking at Seo with fearful eyes. Among them, Director Kim spoke up with a trembling voice. Deputy Manager Seo, no matter what, how could you beat a fellow colleague to that extent? Seo didn't argue and immediately accepted it, saying, Yes, you're right, Director Kim. I just got so angry at the moment. I apologize for startling everyone. Since Seo would never see any of the others again anyway, he bowed neatly to Director Kim and the other employees and apologized, saying that since he was the one driving, he was sorry for not doing more at that time. Director Kim told Seo that sure, Section Chief Jian had been a bit harsh, and Seo couldn't really have done anything about the landslide. Even then, Jian overreacted. He asked Seo to apologize to Jian directly. Knowing he would continue seeing Director Kim, Seo followed his words because Director Kim would become one of the strongest martial artists there once he started learning. If Seo supported him as much as he could in this life, he was sure he would get something out of it too. That meant he needed to get on Director Kim's good side now. Seo turned to Jian, and while offering a helping hand, apologized, saying his reaction was not warranted. Jian, whose face was swollen from Seo's beating, looked angry and was about to crush him, but he stopped after seeing Seo look at him with dead eyes and no fear. After everyone calmed down, Director Kim looked toward the forest and suggested, Why don't we try to get out of these woods and look for a village? Seo agreed because that was the logical thing to do, but he knew that here, immortals flew wild, trying to secure their immortality, and the only rule that reigned in this land was, the strong devours the weak. The people of this place, the Murim, fought with swords for wealth and honor. This forest's name was Ascension Path. There was no village, city, or nation anywhere around here. SEO suggested to Director Kim, "Since the sun is going to set soon, why don't we set up a shelter somewhere safe?" Director Kim thought CEO's suggestion was right but asked, "What about the car? There's quite a lot of things in there that we packed for the workshop." In that car, there were many things they could use, but only CEO knew they wouldn't be able to find the car. He also knew they wouldn't believe him. So, he decided to just let them look for the car instead of wasting his energy trying to convince them. He suggested that they should split up then. One team could look for shelter, and the other could look for the car. They would meet back here before it got completely dark. After a few hours, CEO started a fire in a cave near the place they first arrived. While eating, a black-haired girl told the others that she didn't get it. "We were caught in a landslide while we were in a car, so how did we end up here while the car is gone?" Director Kim agreed with the girl, saying he didn't get it either. Everyone was sitting around the fire eating. Pointing at the food, a girl commented, "This tastes like chestnuts." Hearing that, CEO asked her if it was crunchy. He told them he had a lot of it, so they could have as much as they wanted. Hearing that, Director Kim laughed and said, "It's a pretty serious situation, but thanks to Manager Seo, we're having fun." He praised Seo, saying, "I knew you were this dependable even back in the company." While everyone was eating, Seo noticed Jeon sleeping in a corner, refusing to eat anything. Director Kim spoke a little louder so John could hear, "Manager Seo, if I remember correctly, you were tired while driving because you had to work late yesterday." Others agreed with Director Kim. A brown-haired girl told Director Kim, "Their manager is really diligent." A red-haired girl also praised CEO, saying, "It feels like we're camping thanks to this cave manager CEO found." CEO knew they were right, because in his past life, they only found this place after being lost in the woods for hours. But he acted modest, and told them he was just lucky. Hearing that, everyone laughed and told Seo he could just take the compliment. CEO also thought that he should enjoy this moment because tonight would be the last time they could laugh like this. The next morning, trembling in fear, CEO offered his greetings to the Lord of the Forest. The Lord of the Forest he was greeting was a huge seven-tailed fox with red glowing eyes. The fox looked at Seo and with a smile said, "You have quite a unique scent for a human. Despite having lived thousands of years, I have never smelled humans like you." Hearing the commotion outside, the black-haired girl woke up. She came outside and asked Seo what had happened, but when she saw the huge fox, she got scared and screamed. Hearing her scream, others also woke up and came out of the cave. When they saw the huge fox, they too got scared and screamed. Hearing them, Seo looked back and shouted, telling them to show their manners to the Lord of the Forest and get on their knees. Hearing Seo, the seven-tailed fox said, "Every time I come across you humans, I am reminded how foolish and rude you all are." It told them that it would usually rip off all their limbs, but since one of them seemed to know how to treat him, he would forgive them. With that being said, they must pay the price for being in his territory. If one of them offers him an arm, he will let them stay here. Hearing the fox talk, everyone was already too scared, and after listening to its demands, they became even more terrified. CEO was also very scared because in his past life, everyone who saw this monster screamed in panic, and they all ended up dead, having angered the fox. But CEO was a little relieved to see that the fox appreciated his manners this time and wasn't ripping off all their limbs like last time. Then, while licking its mouth, the seven-tailed fox asked who would give him their arm. CEO calculated that it was just one person's arm. That's all they needed to sacrifice. Even a lost arm would be healed by the cultivators who would appear 2 days later. Plus, CEO had already prepared an herb that would reduce the pain. Thinking all that, CEO removed his sleeves and extended his hand toward the seven-tailed fox. While trembling, he told it that he would offer his arm. Everyone was shocked that CEO was sacrificing his hand for them. The seven-tailed fox opened its mouth and immediately lunged at CEO, saying, "You know your manners, so I will try to make it as painless as possible in return." Then, in the next second, with a loud scream of pain, CEO lost one arm. The seven-tailed fox completely bit off Seo's hand and ate it. Everyone looked away. They couldn't bear to see the horrifying scene right in front of them. CEO was in too much pain. Tears streamed down his face as he extended his other arm to grab the herb. The pain was so intense that Seo didn't have time to think about anything else at the moment. He immediately ate the herb he had prepared for pain relief. After eating Seo's hand, the seven-tailed fox told Seo that it thought he might taste different since he smelled different, but he tasted the same as the other humans. He tasted worse because of all the impurities in his veins. Hearing the fox, Seo began to come back to his senses. He was surprised to see that the herb actually helped a lot with the pain. After calming down, Seo apologized to the seven-tailed fox, saying his offering was not good enough. But the fox was not interested in talking. It turned around to leave, telling them that it would allow them to stay for 7 days in its territory, and that they wouldn't die thanks to its divinity. Saying that, it leapt into the sky with super speed and disappeared. After the 7-tailed fox left, a worried group ran towards Seo to check on him. Seo slowly stood up and asked everyone to go inside, saying he would explain everything. Once inside the cave, Seo slowly told them that he had met the fox when he left the cave early that morning. The fox told him that they were in Murim. Everyone was shocked to hear they were in Murim. Director Kim asked Seo if he meant they were really in Murim because it was unbelievable. Seo said it didn't matter, and told them they would be safe for a week since he had given up his arm. Hearing that it was just a week, Director Kim asked Seo what would happen after that. Breathing heavily, Seo told Director Kim that they would need to give up something else the following week. Hearing that, everyone was stunned. As the herb's effects kicked in, Seo started to get sleepy. He told the others that he was getting sleepy and would rest a bit, hoping they would understand. Saying that, he fell asleep right there. Then, 15 hours later at night, Seo woke up alone in the cave. He heard his colleagues talking outside. They were all angry at Jian, asking him how he could say that manager Seo sacrificed his own arm. Jian argued back, asking, then who wants to give up their arm and leg every week? But Chief O told Jian that manager Seo was very useful, since he was the one who provided them food and shelter. Then Jian suggested they should learn as much as they could from Seo in a week, adding that since Seo had already lost an arm, he wouldn't last long anyway. That's why they should have him be the sacrifice again. Jian said all that, not knowing Seo had woken up and was listening from behind. Seo was surprised to hear that now that he had become debilitated, Jian wanted to chop off one of his limbs every week to give to the fox. That was definitely not pleasing. Looking at Jian, Seo grabbed a rock from the ground. He looked at the rock and thought that with the violence he had learned from being beaten up for 50 years, he could easily kill a modern-day man like John Myung-hoon with one arm. He looked at Jian again, who was still convincing others to force Seo to give up his other arm too. Angrily, Seo thought to himself whether he should kill Jian, but he didn't act recklessly. Instead, he threw the rock back and returned to the cave. He understood that fear had surely paralyzed their minds, and if he acted too cruelly now, it would cause issues with his relationship with Director Kim. Suddenly, Chief O shouted at Jian to shut up if he didn't want his ankles broken again. Hearing that, Seo laughed. He was right to think that they were good people. It was just a confusing situation for everyone. The next day, as the sun rose, everyone gathered in front of the cave. This time, a 2-headed snake appeared before them. But unlike the fox who had eaten Seo's arm, the 2-headed snake only requested a small amount of blood. It was the very same snake that had sucked out Chief O's blood, who had lost his limbs in his last life. Hearing that it was just a small amount, nervous Chief O put his own arm forward this time, but after drinking Chief O's blood, the snake vomited, saying, "This is disgusting. This is the worst human blood I have ever had." Hearing that, Chief O got furious, but Seo knew it was the blood of a 21st century worker, drenched in nicotine and cholesterol. No wonder it tasted gross. Seo then turned around and asked John Myung-hoon to come with him to pick some herbs. Hearing that, John was shocked, and asked Seo if he had just called him by his full name, but Seo didn't reply. Instead, he asked if John was hungry. John said he was. Seo walked toward John and said, "I will tell you about the fruits and edible herbs, so follow me." Seo got closer and whispered to Jian that he planned to give his arm to the fox next week as well, and if he died, someone needed to know how to survive in this forest. Hearing that, Jian got very scared. Realizing that Seo had heard everything last night, he had no choice but to thank Seo and agree to go with him. Hearing his thanks, Seo laughed inside because only he knew the fox wouldn't be coming back, and Jian would never make use of this knowledge. As both of them arrived at a place full of fruit trees, Seo shouted, "John Myung-hoon, how many times do I need to tell you that that's the wrong fruit? Concentrate." Seo said sorry while picking a red fruit. Seeing that, Seo told him that fruit would get him killed. This continued for hours, as Seo gave orders to Jian, and Jian had to follow them. Jian started to get exhausted, and asked Seo to hold on, saying he needed a break. He had been digging non-stop to get these herbs. Seeing his condition, Seo laughed inside because this was how Jian used to punish him when he first entered the company. Seo told Jian that they needed to finish before dusk, so they should hurry up. Slowly, time passed, and both continued doing their part. Then suddenly, John dug out a very large ginseng. John was shocked to see it. He held it in his hand and said, "This thing is massive." He asked Seo if this was natural ginseng. Seo told him it was something like that. Seo knew that while it did resemble ginseng, to be precise, it was a yellow bamboo root. It might be because the ascension path was so full of energy, but yellow bamboo roots, which are typically as small as a pinky finger, grew to this size here. SEO knew it wouldn't be of much use to cultivators, but it was an extremely precious medicine for martial artists used to increase ki, and it should help Director Kim. While talking, they found 2 more right there. Amazed, Jian asked Seo if it was okay to dig up this much wild ginseng. Seo, of course, said yes, and told him to take off his shirt and place them in it. Seo looked at the setting sun and a crack in space. Seeing that, Seo realized it was almost time for those cultivators to come. He asked Jian, "Let's head back." As they returned to the cave, suddenly the crack Seo had seen before exploded with a huge blast, releasing massive amounts of spiritual energy into the sky. At the moment of the explosion, Jian fell to the ground, screaming while grabbing his head. Not only him, Chief O was in the same condition, along with Manager Kang. All 3 of them were clutching their heads, screaming in pain. Seeing this, Director Kim began to panic, asking what had happened to them. Just then, 3 cultivators appeared, flying into the sky. Looking at Jian, Chief O, and Manager Kang, a cultivator named Byuko, wearing golden clothes, said, "What a surprise. To think we'd find such uncut talent here." A black-clothed cultivator named Heogwak told Byuko to go away, saying they were his. Hearing that, the 3rd cultivator, wearing blue clothes, called Heogwak shameless. Seeing these cultivators, Director Kim got scared and asked who they were. The cultivators noticed there were 7 people, but only the 3 had spiritual roots. The rest were just normal mortals. Then Byuko raised his hands and created a ball of lightning. He struck Jian with it, and Jian screamed in pain as thousands of bolts of lightning entered his body. When Byuko stopped, he was amazed to see how incredible Jian's body was. It was the body of heavenly golden thunder. Then Heogwak came forward, telling Byuko to move because it was his turn. Heogwak was holding a musical instrument, and as he started playing, Manager Kang, who was covering her ears, suddenly began screaming in pain. But it wasn't a normal scream. It was so loud that the whole forest echoed. Seeing that, Heogwak got too excited, realizing that Manager Kang had the ghostly yin transforming immortal root. He hadn't thought such a thing really existed. Then it was the 3rd cultivator's turn. He landed on the ground and, grabbing Chief O's shoulder, injected his spiritual energy into him. He checked Chief O's body and found that it was a unique holy body. Chief O was too shocked, asking the cultivator what was going on. The cultivator smiled and declared that he would take all 3 of them as disciples of the Azure Heaven Creation sect, because all 3 had the talent to change the entire world. With a deep voice, he asked Chief, "How does that sound?" Chief O was terrified in the cultivator's presence. He couldn't even breathe. He was confused, wondering what this force was, and felt like he would die if he refused. Suddenly, Heogwak came down and asked Chief O to join the Black Ghost Valley instead, saying they had every cultivation method, immortality, the power to overturn the heavens, fame, and wealth. He promised to ensure they would get all of those things within 100 years. Suddenly, Byuko also came down and asked Heogwak what he was saying, claiming that the Golden Divine Heavenly Thunder sect was the most suited for them. While they were talking, Director Kim intervened and asked the cultivators if they could get them out of this forest, because at this rate, they would all die there. But the cultivators completely ignored him. Byuko took out a bottle and opened its cap, saying, "Mortals worry too much. How did you get to the ascension path with such a worthless body?" Saying that, he pointed the bottle's mouth toward John, and the bottle sucked John inside. John could only scream for help. Then the blue-clothed cultivator took Chief O and looked at Seo. He smiled and said, "Seems like one of them lost an arm to that fox," and seeing the wound, he offered it up himself. He used his spiritual power to heal Seo's hand, telling him that he may be a mere mortal, but he had guts. Seo's whole hand grew back, and he thanked the cultivator. Heogwak also took Manager Kang with him. Then all 3 cultivators flew back into the sky, and while leaving, told Seo that they had captured all the beasts and monsters of the ascension path on their way here, so it would be safe here for the next 10 years. Seeing them leave, Director Kim chased after them, asking them to hold on and to tell them where to go, because they didn't even know which way to take to leave. He called out to Section Chief John, Chief O, and Deputy Manager Kang, but it was no use. The cultivators flew into the sky and disappeared. Seeing them go, Seo was very disappointed, but it was no use because the same thing had happened 50 years ago. No matter how hard they shouted, those cultivators ignored them like insects and continued on their way. Seo was a little relieved that at least they had healed his arm. While chasing after them, Director Kim ran out of breath and fell to the ground asking, "What do you want us to do?" In a forest like this, but before he lost all hope, Suddenly Director Kim saw many beams of light flying in the direction those cultivators had gone. Seeing that, he got confused and asked, "What are all those lights in the sky? Is there something in that direction?" But Director Kim could not leave his team behind, so he returned. The next day, it was a rainy day with lightning striking all around. All four, Deputy Manager O, Manager Kim, Manager Seo, and Director Kim, were hiding in the same cave. But Deputy Manager O's condition was not good. She was coughing up blood while lying on the ground. Manager Kim asked Seo if there was some kind of herb they could use because Deputy Manager O was in terrible condition. She was panicking, not knowing what to do. Knowing the future, Seo told Manager Kim, "Let's wait a little longer. Someone might appear and heal her." Hearing that, Manager Kim got confused. Suddenly they heard someone's footsteps. Someone entered the cave and said, "Mortals in the ascension path are like ants, suffering among the competition between dragons." Seeing that man, Director Kim jumped right in front and asked, "Who are you?" The person smiled and said, "I am the Sea Dragon King, Seo Hueol." The Sea Dragon King, Seo Hueol, told them that Deputy Manager O was controlling the storm outside. Hearing that, everyone was shocked. The Sea Dragon King explained that the storm suddenly appeared out of nowhere, so he came to look for its cause. Pointing at Deputy Manager, he said that the lady lying over there must have used the sorcery of the storm. The Sea Dragon King was amazed because she was an ordinary woman without even a trace of cultivation. So how could she wield such overwhelming power? Additionally, she was not even doing it consciously, which was very strange. Hearing that, Seo told the Sea Dragon King that actually, they were the confused ones. They had only been in this place for a short time, yet one after another, powerful people like him appeared and took away their companions. Hearing that, the Sea Dragon King couldn't control his laughter. He asked Seo if he was saying that among his colleagues, there were a few with extraordinary potential, and then, as if prearranged, powerful cultivators showed up and took them away. And now, here he was, conveniently appearing in front of this woman. Seo told the Sea Dragon King, "That's exactly what happened." Looking at Seo, the Sea Dragon King smiled and asked, "Dear mortal, do you know where we are?" He told Seo that this place was known as the Ascension Path, or the Path to Ascension. It was a key gateway that leads to the upper realm. In just a few months, a dimensional rift called the Ascension Gate would open right around here. It happens once every 1,000 years. Countless high-level cultivators and spiritual beings would have already begun gathering around the path to ascension to ascend to the upper realm. So, isn't it quite likely that cultivators like him would appear near them? Hearing that, Seo finally understood everything. Then Director Kim told the Sea Dragon King that those cultivators said they were taking his colleagues to join their sects, and if they were ascending to the upper realm, how could his colleagues join them? Hearing that, the Sea Dragon King told them it might be hard for mortals like them to understand. He took out a bottle similar to those the cultivators had, and explained that there was a technique among cultivators used to shrink large objects and store them inside magical tools like this. Those cultivators would have likely stored their sects inside items like these. Their goal was to ascend to the upper realm, along with their entire sect when the Ascension Gate opened. The Sea Dragon King told them that, in fact, he too had packed one of the undersea castles of his Sea Dragon clan inside this very item. Inside it, 1,800 sea dragons lie dormant. Hearing that, Seo and Director Kim's jaws dropped in shock. The Sea Dragon King patted Deputy Manager O's head, saying she was how peculiar and intriguing. If she were to join the Sea Dragon clan, she could become something extraordinary. Seeing him patting the unconscious Deputy Manager O's head, Director Kim jumped to stop the Sea Dragon King, but the next second he fell to his knees as a very powerful force pinned him to the ground. When Director Kim tried to fight that force, it increased every time, putting more pressure on him. The one putting that pressure was the Sea Dragon King. He lifted Deputy Manager O in his hand and told Director Kim that he would give Deputy Manager O his blood and accept her as his kin, and that would be best for all of them. He also gave one more piece of advice. Looking at Director Kim with his green glowing eyes, he warned him not to casually ask high-level cultivators questions. Just as he said that, the pressure on Director Kim and Seo increased, and both of their eyeballs popped out. While holding Deputy Manager O in his hands, the Sea Dragon King walked away from there, telling them that he answered because he was generous, but most cultivators would have killed them for the mere act of asking a question. Saying that, he walked out of the cave into the thunderstorm, transformed into his real dragon form, and flew back into the sky. His dragon form was so big and strong that it seemed to reach the sky. Then, the next morning, the thunderstorm suddenly stopped, and the weather cleared. Manager Kim was too shocked by the fact that all her colleagues had been kidnapped. She could not understand what was happening. An avalanche out of nowhere. then immortals and dragons abducting their companions. She could not digest all of this, and began to lose her mind. Seeing her like that, Seo approached, trying to calm her down, but while shaking, Manager Kim said, "Manager Seo, please, you must not be taken as well. If you're taken too, I won't be able to survive in this forest alone." Saying that, she started crying. Seeing her like that, Seo wanted to reassure her that he would not leave her, but he knew that unfortunately, their time was up. Just then, Manager Kim felt something in her head and screamed. She fell to the ground, grabbing her head, and told Seo that something was coming. Seeing her screaming, Director Kim came running and asked, "What's wrong with her now?" Suddenly the whole jungle went wild. All the birds in the sky and all the animals in the forest started running for their lives. Manager Kim started shaking and told them that it was head. Hearing that, Director Kim got confused, and before he could understand anything, suddenly an old man riding a mechanical lion appeared. That old man was shocked to see mortals there, and asked how mere mortals had gotten into the path to ascension. But looking at them, it didn't take that old man long to understand that when the ascension gate was about to open, the surrounding space became unstable, and they must have been caught in a spatial storm. He laughed, praising himself as a genius for understanding it immediately. He then came down from his mechanical lion and asked them who was the one who had just emitted that massive consciousness. He laughed, saying that it was such a powerful presence. He had thought a sage from the upper realm had descended. Looking at Deputy Manager O's condition, he asked if it was her. Director Kim came forward and stopped the old man, saying, "Manager Kim is our colleague." But with just one swing of his finger, the old man sent Director Kim flying to one side. Seeing that, Seo immediately jumped to catch Director Kim to protect him. He caught Director Kim but was also sent flying, crashing to the ground. Director Kim was uninjured and thanked Deputy Manager Seo, but Seo didn't respond. Seeing that, Director Kim panicked and helped Seo up. To their surprise, Seo's whole back was exposed and injured because of crashing on the ground. Director Kim was shocked seeing that and asked Seo if he was all right. Seo, in a slow voice, told Director Kim he was okay. On the other hand, the old man went to Deputy Manager O and grabbed her by the chin, asking, "Let me take you in. You don't have any spiritual root, but I can awaken it for you with my power." The old man wondered what would happen if such a strange consciousness evolved into a cultivator's divine consciousness. Hearing that, Deputy Manager O started crying and looked at Seo and Director Kim for help. Seeing her looking at them, the old man looked at Seo and Director Kim and asked if she was still clinging to her worldly attachments, even after he offered to take her in. This made the old man angry. Using his powers, he grabbed both Seo and Director Kim by the neck and lifted them into the air. Both of them started struggling to breathe. The old man told Deputy Manager O that he would sever all her worldly ties for her himself. Seeing both of them struggling like that, Deputy Manager O got very scared. She started crying, begging the old man to please stop. She told him she would do anything he asked if he just spared them. Hearing that, the old man told Deputy Manager O that she must forget all her worldly attachments. While crying, Deputy Manager O told him she understood. After hearing that, the old man spared Seo and Director Kim, and both of them fell to the ground. But the old man knew that if he left them there, she would remain attached, so he decided to return them to a mortal nation nearby. Saying that, he used his spiritual powers and opened a portal. The old man told Deputy Manager O that both of her colleagues would be randomly scattered through a dimensional rift, and not even he knew where they would land. Just as he said that, the huge portal opened and started sucking both Seo and Director Kim inside. Director Kim was immediately sucked into the portal before he could even understand what was happening, while Seo, before getting sucked in, used all his power to grab the herbs he had collected the previous day. Then both of them got sucked inside. Deputy Manager O, at the opening of the portal, was crying for them. As the portal closed, everything turned black. Suddenly, a whole crowd's voices filled their ears. A street vendor's voice came, saying, "We have the finest silks in Yangguo. We have newly arrived scriptures from Shengji." Both Seo and Director Kim were lying unconscious on the ground. Seo was the first to regain consciousness. As he stood up, he looked ahead and saw that he was in an alleyway with many people walking down the street ahead. Seo didn't recognize this place and wondered where he was. The reason he didn't recognize it was that in his previous life, he hadn't fallen into a place like this. He slowly stood up, realizing that the immortal had been telling the truth, that where they landed was random. As Seo walked out of the alleyway, he found that this path felt familiar for some reason. Looking around, he finally understood that this was the place he had once lived in for those 50 years. There was a huge 10-story building right in front of Seo. Seeing that building, he finally recognized that this was the capital of Yangguo, Seokyung City. After witnessing the scene outside, Seo returned to Director Kim and woke him up. Director Kim was very exhausted and told manager Seo that he couldn't keep up with what was going on anymore. Sitting beside Seo, he told Director Kim he felt the same way. It would be nice if this was all just a dream. Director Kim couldn't believe that it was just the two of them left behind, but he thought he should be relieved that they weren't taken by those monsters. Seo just looked at the confused Director Kim and didn't say anything, because even he didn't know about this. He may have regressed, but in his past life, he was nothing but a powerless herb gatherer. Seo then told Director Kim that they couldn't stay in this alleyway forever, so why didn't they get out of here? Director Kim said, "All right," and both of them left the alleyway. But as they came out, all the people of that place started staring at them while talking in some unknown language. Hearing those people, Director Kim got very confused. He asked Seo, "What are they saying? It sounds like Chinese. Why are the people whispering while looking at us?" Seo told Director Kim that some people were saying the clothes both of them were wearing looked funny. Hearing that, Director Kim was shocked. Seo smiled and told him not to worry because he knew a bit of Chinese. Director Kim wanted to ask him something, but seeing Seo's injured back, he didn't ask and said, "That's great." Seo said that, but in reality, he lied to Director Kim. The language those people were speaking was not Chinese. Other than the fact that they used the same characters, it sounded completely different. In his past life, Seo had to endure the mockery of beggars for 2 months, just to learn the basics of the language, but now, there was no need for that. Seo took out the herbs he had collected earlier and asked Director Kim if they should get some new clothes. Hearing that, Director Kim was confused and asked how, because he felt like the people of this place wouldn't accept their money. Seo didn't explain to Director Kim, and just took him to the city's medicine hall. The owner of the medicine hall was shocked to see the ginseng, and asked Seo if he was really letting them buy such precious herbs. Seo acted tough, and told the owner that those yellow bamboo roots were at least 800 years old. The owner said, "Of course," and told him that the roots should be worth about 15 silver ingots. Hearing 15 silver ingots, even Seo got nervous because he had never had that much money in his past life. But he didn't lose his composure and asked the shop owner to hurry up and take the money. The shop owner said yes, and immediately gave Seo the money. After leaving, Seo and Director Kim first bought some clothes, and then bought a house in the city. Director Kim was shocked to see the house they were going to live in. Seo said yes, and told Director Kim that from today onward, he would teach him the language of this place. Hearing that, Director Kim got very happy and thanked manager Seo. Seo made it seem like there was no problem, but after bribing some guys for identity plaques and buying the land and house, they only had 1 silver ingot left. He guessed it was because they were in the capital, and that's why everything was so expensive there. While Seo was looking at the money, Director Kim noticed Seo's back. Even after wearing new clothes, because of the injuries on his back, his new clothes had turned red. Seeing how much Seo had helped him, Director Kim suggested to Seo that since they were in a whole new place now, why didn't he just call him by his name? Surprised to hear that, Seo told Director Kim that he was fine with that. Director Kim smiled and thanked him while calling him by his full name, Seo Yun-hyun. Then at night, after settling down in the house, Seo explained to Director Kim that the reason he was able to get all that money was because he sold those herbs. Pointing at the 2 remaining ginseng roots right in front of him, Seo told Director Kim that they wouldn't have a source of income if they ran out of herbs, so they needed to figure out a way to bring in money. Hearing that, Director Kim looked at the ginseng and wondered how. Suddenly, he got an idea and suggested to Seo that they use the silver they would get from selling the rest of the herbs to start a business. It was a good plan. Seo knew that with all the money they could get from this, as well as Director Kim's skill set from having been a director in a mid-sized company, they should be able to make a living. But that wasn't enough. Seo thought that since he had regressed, why not dream bigger? He knew that Director Kim was a martial genius, who, after reading some third-rate martial arts books sold on the streets, became a martial master in just a few months. Once he learned more advanced techniques, he became one of the most powerful martial artists in the Jianghu. But what if he were to learn advanced martial arts from the start? Seo might be able to bring forward the birth of the greatest swordsman in the Jianghu by at least 30 years. Thinking all that, Seo smiled and decided he was going to benefit as much as he could while working for him. He told Director Kim that this was Murim, a world of martial arts. This attracted Director Kim's attention. Seo told Director Kim that who knows when the gangs of the Jianghu might come for them if they set up a business. So shouldn't they at least learn a bit of self-defense? Director Kim's face lit up hearing the words, martial arts, but he knew they didn't teach people outside the sects their martial arts. So he asked Seo how they would learn. Seeing his excitement, Seo smiled because, as a well-known Murim novel nerd, he knew Director Kim would be interested. He explained to Director Kim that in this city, there are 7 famous sects. Among them, the demon-slaying sect, self-binding temple, suppressing birdhouse, and the 7 mysteries sect are on the orthodox side of the Jianghu, whereas the Wolf Fang Gang, the Dark Knight Association, and the dragon-fighting stronghold are considered unorthodox. The people call them the 4 stars and the 3 demons. The demon-slaying sect mainly learns sword and blade techniques. The self-binding temple is a Buddhist sect, while the suppressing birdhouse is like the Hao sect. They focus on intelligence. The 7 mysteries sect has a very long history and teaches all kinds of martial arts. On the other hand, there isn't much information known about the 3 demons. It is said they are proficient in stealth techniques and sorcery, and do a lot of illegal things. After explaining everything, CO asked Director Kim which sect he liked best. Without a second thought, Director Kim chose the demon-slaying sect, adding that a martial artist should wield a sword, and a man should learn blade techniques. Hearing his choice, CO thought this was fitting for the man who was called the best swordsman in his past life. But Director Kim was confused, and asked Seo how he knew all this. CO laughed and told Director Kim that he had been eavesdropping on some martial artists talking earlier. Then, 3 months later, CO and Director Kim went to the demon-slaying sect, but the guard stopped them, asking what brought them there. CO introduced Director Kim as his older brother, and told the guards that they had heard about how famous the demon-slaying sect was, and came wishing to learn martial arts. The guard of the demon-slaying sect was a very strict, muscular guy. He looked at CO and Director Kim's clothes, and thought they looked like they had a decent amount of money. But he told Director Kim that learning martial arts at his age would be difficult. SEO laughed and offered a silver coin to the guard, asking if he wouldn't at least let them talk to someone of higher status, adding that even just simple self-defense training would do. Like that, while bribing the guard, CO and Director Kim entered the demon-slaying sect. There, they met an elder of the sect. The elder asked if they wanted to learn martial arts for self-defense. SEO said they wanted to learn the best there was, offering a box full of silver nuggets. Seeing all those silver nuggets, the elder agreed, saying he supposed CO could join as an external disciple. But after getting the silver nuggets, he added that they didn't give special treatment to those who joined with donations, and in addition, they would only accept one of them. Hearing that, CO was shocked because all that money was worth only 1 yellow bamboo root, and that was all they were willing to do for them. Shocked, Director Kim tried to ask the elder if they were ripping them off, but before he could say anything more, CO accepted the elder's conditions and thanked him, adding that his brother would be the one learning. Hearing that, Director Kim was very shocked. Then, while leaving, the elder asked Director Kim to come outside later to where all the external disciples gathered. As he left, Director Kim asked CO what was the use if only he would learn martial arts. He said he would have chosen a different group had he known they'd be so expensive. SEO turned around with a smile and told Director Kim not to sweat it, saying it's not like he had ever been good at sports anyway. He told Director Kim that he would just set up a business with the remaining money and support him, so he should just focus on learning martial arts. Director Kim was shocked to hear that. He couldn't believe how much Seo was sacrificing for him. He told Seo he would try his best, but Director Kim was still hesitant because he was old and didn't know if he would really be able to do much. Seo told him to believe in himself, that he could do it. Director Kim thanked Seo and left to train with the outer disciples. Then, 7 months later, at a competition held within the sect, all the elders of the demon-slaying sect were shocked and angry seeing the scene in front of them. In just 7 months, Director Kim had defeated all their disciples. The elders were very angry, asking how some outsider from nowhere defeated all their beloved disciples in just 7 months. The demon-slaying sect was in an uproar. That's all for today, everyone. Before we wrap up, I want to let you know that we've recently launched a membership program here, where you can enjoy perks like early access to videos and soon, exclusive content just for members. You'll also receive custom badges and emojis to enhance your interactions. If you're interested, consider joining our membership to enjoy these benefits. Check out the link in the description to join. See you all in the next video.